Welcome into NBA Now, brought to you by Chat Sports. Lots of NBA news and rumors to get into as we gear up for tonight's NBA Draft Lottery. I'm Harrison Graham. Alongside me is the mustache man himself. It's Jimmy Crowther. And Jimmy, lots of rumors to get into before tonight's Draft Lottery. Starting in the Big Apple with the Knicks. If they land the number one pick, looks like they may be trading it instead of drafting Zion Williamson.
Yeah, that was the report out today from Sean Charania, which frankly, I just do not understand. Now, I love Anthony Davis. I think when he's healthy, he's a top 5 talent in this league. But if you have the security of Zion Williamson at the number one pick, in my opinion, you absolutely take it. Now, Anthony Davis, like I said, top 5 talent, but he comes with so many different question marks that I don't think Knicks or the Knicks fans would be happy with that trade in the end.
Yeah, and if you look at Zion Williamson, of course, clearly the top pick in this year's draft. His year at Duke was borderline historic, 23 points per game, almost 9 boards, over 2 assists. The field goal percentage there, almost 70%. A player who's, improving as a jumper, has superstar potential, not only on the court, in my opinion, but also in terms of putting butts in the seats at Madison Square Garden, selling jerseys. But the Knicks aren't sold on his superstar potential, which is why they're considering trading for Anthony Davis if they land the number one pick tonight.
Yeah, like I said, I don't understand. I think this is one of the most marketable number one overall picks that could come into the league right away. I think New York fans would line up out the door to see him. I don't think it's the same with Anthony Davis. For me, like I said, I'd rather draft Zion Williamson, but we want to know what you guys think. If you'd rather draft Zion Williamson with the number one pick, type Z in the comment section below. And if you'd rather trade that number one pick for Anthony Davis, type A in the comment section below.
Yeah, and I think you could have a different answer for a different team depending on where you are, but I just think you put Zion Williamson in Madison Square Garden, you got to take him. So I'm with draft Zion, but we want to hear from you guys in the comment section below. Also, if you want to take a look at the last 5 lottery picks for the Knicks, this is what it looks like. You got Kevin Knox last year, who's a player I think can be part of a winning team. Frank Ntilikina has not had success. They took him over Dennis Smith Jr., who, of course, they traded for last year in that Kristaps Porzingis trade, who is now in Dallas. Jordan Hill, Danilo Gallinari back in 2009 and 2008. Zion Williamson, clearly a next-level player in comparison to some of these past lottery picks they have. I don't think you can afford to pass on him. Moving on, another player in this draft that the Knicks appear to be high on, Cam Reddish from Duke as well. Had a bit of an up-and-down year as Duke did not thrive as kind of that third wheel behind R.J. Barrett and Zion Williamson. Does have big-time upside. Can create his own shot. Can be a knockdown shooter, although he didn't show it at Duke as much last year. I think, Jimmy, he's got the tools to be an excellent 3-and-D player in this league.
Yeah, I think his 7-foot wingspan, 7'1" wingspan is huge. I would love to see him turn into a good 3-and-D player, but that's his ceiling, is a good role player for a good team. I don't see him making an all-star team anytime in his career. I think this is more of a, hey, Knicks fans, if we don't get Zion Williamson, it's not Zion or bust. We like these other guys too. So you see what Cam Reddish did at Duke at 13.5 points per game, 3.7 rebounds, 1.9 assists, and then the 33.3% three-point shooting, which isn't bad, but it's not what they expected him to be. They expected him to be a knockdown shooter at Duke, and he wasn't that.
Yeah, and he was underwhelming, too, during those games when Zion was out with the foot injury, and I think that was disappointing, not only from Duke fans, but probably some NBA scouts as well, as can he take over a game when your top guy is out? He was not able to do that, but the Knicks are interested. I think this would only be a case if things go really wrong in tonight's lottery and they fall, outside of the top 3, but, Cam Reddish certainly a player that is on the Knicks' radar. I expect him to go somewhere between 3 and 7 in this year's draft. All right, folks, today's show is brought to you by BetDSI. Go to chatsports.com/bet. The NBA playoffs going on right now. Of course, you got 4 teams left. Warriors still the favorite there. Use that promo code NBA120 to get that 120% bonus. Jimmy, I like making money. You put down $100, they're going to give you $120 for free. So go to chatsports.com/bet. BetDSI, the online top sports book around the globe. Brett Brown now. All right, here we go. Somehow he was on the hot seat in Philly heading into that Game 7 against Toronto. They lose in heartbreaking fashion. Looks like he's going to be able to keep his job, though.
Yeah, the report was that there was no way that he comes back if they lose in this round, which I didn't understand from the jump. I think Brett Brown has done a terrific job. He's been through the thick and the thin with the Philadelphia 76ers, and all the players respect him. I know Joel Embiid has his respect. He is very outspoken about it. Same with Jimmy Butler, who's a free agent, by the way, and is going to be huge for them to retain this summer. I think there is a lot going on in Philadelphia, and they have a lot to look forward to, but on the court right now, they had Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler, J.J. Redick, Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris. 3 of those guys free agents this summer.
Yeah, you got to factor in, especially Butler and Harris. What do you do with those guys if you have to pick one? Which direction do you go in? With me, if it's me, you got to bring back Jimmy Butler. He was the one constant in this playoff run. Whereas game to game, you did not know what you were going to get out of Joel Embiid, out of Ben Simmons. Butler comes in there, kind of becomes that junkyard player for them. I think he's a guy you have to prioritize. It's just you wonder though with Philadelphia, what's the missing piece? Yeah, you could argue that that's the best starting 5 in the NBA outside of maybe a full-strength Golden State lineup. So I'll ask you guys, comment below, what is the missing piece for the 76ers? You know what? A jump shot for Ben Simmons is the missing piece.
That's what it is.
If that guy can start to shoot the ball from the outside, it opens up the floor for everybody. But I want to hear from you guys. Is it a player you can get in free agency? What is the missing piece for the 76ers squad?
Absolutely. And I also think they need to add depth. I think they need to add depth to this team. Like you said, great starting 5. Don't have the depth there.
All right, another coach in the news, Billy Donovan. Now, there's not necessarily news of him potentially leaving OKC, but Michigan's job just opened after John Beilein took the job in Cleveland, and the Vegas odds have Donovan as the second best odds at plus 350 to be the next Michigan coach. And a lot of people are out there saying why. He's got a good job in OKC. He's got some star talent there. Well, don't forget, he led Florida to back-to-back national titles in the mid-2000s. You wonder what the future is in Oklahoma City. There's not a lot of roster moves they can make from a financial perspective. They haven't been able to get out of the first round without Kevin Durant. So maybe if you're Billy Donovan, if Michigan comes calling, this might be the move for him.
Yeah, I think it adds a lot of safety and security for Billy Donovan, if anything. We see that in the regular season, he does great. He almost overachieves sometimes with this Oklahoma City Thunder team, but the past 3 years coming out of the first round, not coming out of the first round at all, has been super disappointing, especially this year. They had such a perfect path to the Western Conference Finals. They had the easiest road, and they lose in the first round. Now, obviously, Portland's in the Western Conference Finals. Obviously, they've earned it. But people were calling for change in Oklahoma City, so maybe he's tired of the scrutiny and he's ready to go to Michigan, where it's a pretty good coaching job in college basketball.
Yeah, and again, I just don't know what the ceiling is for Oklahoma City as far as with what they have on their roster. Russell Westbrook, Paul George. I think he gets a little bit of a pass this year. Donovan does, because those guys both had off-season surgery after the season, so clearly they weren't right, especially Paul George after the All-Star break just was not the same player. But I'll ask you guys, what should Billy Donovan do if Michigan comes calling? Should he stay in OKC? Should he leave for Michigan? Look, normally I would say, why would you make the lateral move back to college? But again, you have to consider the success. You have to consider where things are in Oklahoma City right now. I think if Michigan makes a nice offer, that might be a destination for Billy Donovan.
I agree. I think he stays in Oklahoma City ultimately. That's my opinion. I think he stays.
Again, type S for stay, type L for leave, and head to Michigan. All right, Jimmy, this is a funny story. Josh Jackson has been arrested, okay? And you see the headline. It says, Jackson arrested at a Florida music festival. So you're thinking, okay, probably had too much to drink, public intox. No, he was trying to sneak into a VIP section of this event on multiple occasions. Did not get in there, so ultimately police arrested him. He was handcuffed, and while police were not paying attention, he takes off with handcuffs. Just I'm out of here. I'm fleeing the scene. So he faces a misdemeanor for trying to sneak into the VIP and a felony charge for trying to flee arrest. So that is where Josh Jackson is right now. And if you kind of look at his career so far, his 2 years with Phoenix, a little bit inconsistent. He was a 3-and-D type of prospect out of Kansas. Well, the 3 has not been there. Career under 30%. Pitches in some points, some rebounds, not much of a creator. I like him as a defender, as an athlete, but he's just not producing on the offensive end. And you just wonder if maybe in tonight's, depending on how the draft lottery goes, then the draft in June, if Phoenix looks to upgrade at the wing position.
Yeah, this arrest is just icing on top of the cake for the pretty miserable career that Josh Jackson has had. Disappointing career, I should say. But like you said, the Phoenix Suns have really good odds in this lottery. They have a 14% chance at the number 1 pick, 13% chance at the number 2 pick, and they can't fall any lower than the number 7 pick. Obviously, they're hoping for Zion Williamson, as they all are. But what should Phoenix do? Should they upgrade at the wing position in the draft? If you think yes, type Y in the comment section below. If you think no, type in the comment section below.
Yeah, and it's just interesting with Phoenix. If it's me, look, I think that's certainly a position you upgrade, but if you get the number 1 pick, it's obviously Zion.
Absolutely.
I mean, I know they've been linked to Ja Morant. They like him a lot, but, we'll see what happens in the draft lottery tonight. Again, type Y for yes, type in for no if you think Phoenix should upgrade at wing in this year's draft. All right, guys. Shout out to everybody who's joining us. Almost 1,000 people live on YouTube. Also, feel free to subscribe right below youtube.com/chatsportstv. We have all kinds of stuff going on the channel. Want to ask you guys too, who's your favorite team? NBA Draft Lottery night. We want to hear from you guys in the YouTube comment section. Who's your favorite team?
Welcome
you a Knicks
into
guy?
NBA
You hoping to
Now,
get Zion?
brought to you by Chat
We got a lot of
Sports,
Suns
lots of
fans.
NBA news
We
and
have any
rumors to
Mavs
get
fans? I
into
know
as we
Jimmy
gear
here
up
does
for
a lot of
tonight.
our Mavs coverage. I'm based in Dallas as well. Follow the Mavs very close. We got someone saying, let's go Boston. Sorry about that early exit in the playoffs. So who is your favorite team? Keep the comments rolling in. Almost at 1,000 live on YouTube, Jimmy. But we're just over 20 minutes from kind of finding out who is going to have the right to pick Zion Williamson. Obviously, it'll go from 14-1, and we'll reveal those picks live here on Chat Sports. But I want to get to some of these odds for you guys, the draft lottery odds. Sacramento, of course, that pick is going to go to Boston unless it's the number 1 pick in the draft. That means Philadelphia will get it. So you've got it right there. Knicks, Cavs, Suns. Those are kind of the top 3 teams with the best chance of getting at Zion.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's finally here. I mean, this is the night a lot of teams are waiting for. A lot of teams don't even know what they can do in free agency before this night comes. This dictates a lot of things that are happening. Number 1 was Zion Williamson. We all know that every team's going to be fighting for him, except maybe the Phoenix Suns, who mentioned Ja Morant. I don't buy it. New York Knicks obviously won them at that 14% chance. Them, Cleveland, and Phoenix tied for that 3-way spot. It's an exciting night, and there's a lot of people tuned in right now to watch us, and I appreciate you all tuning in. So,
a couple notes as well. The Mavericks sitting there at the 9th best odds. If they don't move up into the top 4, they convey that pick to Atlanta from the Luka Doncic trade from last year. So keep your thoughts on that. Also, Memphis sitting there at 8. That pick is top 8 protected. If they fall outside the top 8, Boston gets that pick as well. So a couple things to keep your eyes on there. So let's start. All eyes are on the Knicks, okay? It's been a disastrous stretch here. They've been bad for a long time. They need talent. They need a superstar. Zion Williamson is there to be had. They are tied for the best odds to get that top pick in this year's draft. Of course, they've been linked to possibly trading that pick for Anthony Davis, but certainly a big night for the Knicks franchise.
Yeah, I'm not on board with this Anthony Davis trade idea. I think if Zion Williamson, obviously he's going to be there at number 1. You take Zion Williamson, you take the safe pick. If you're the New York Knicks, you have the safety there. Anthony Davis, you don't know if he's going to stay or if he's going to go. And the New York Knicks need to put butts in the seats in Madison Square Garden, and Zion Williamson absolutely does that.
Knicks desperate for some young talent. Kevin Knox last year, nice pickup for them. Mitchell Robinson doing some things. They traded for Dennis Smith Jr. I don't think that went as well as they had hoped. I know you're doing your little shake doing our Mavs coverage. So certainly the Knicks looking to land that number 1 pick. Also coming in at 14% odds are the Cleveland Cavaliers. They just had their new head coach in John Beilein. Big night for them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Beilein needs something to work around. I think, Kevin Love is there. They have veterans like Tristan Thompson, J.R. Smith, who I think they'd rather get rid of, get that money off of their books. But you can then add Zion Williamson to a core of Colin Sexton. Jordan Clarkson's there, Larry Nance Jr., Chetty Osman had a nice season. I think it'd be exciting to see Sexton and Zion Williamson in Cleveland.
Yeah, it's just kind of a weird roster right now because Kevin Love's still a nice player. Is he a top player on a team at this point in his career? I don't really think so. I like what Colin Sexton did last year. I think you pair a player like Zion or maybe an R.J. Barrett type of slasher with Sexton, that would certainly give them a nice boost as well. So they're certainly looking to get that number 1 pick. Also, Phoenix coming in. They've got 14% odds at getting the top pick as well. They just brought in Monty Williams to guide that ship. They've got some young talent to work with, but
Absolutely.
You can't ever get enough talent in the NBA.
Absolutely. And the Phoenix Suns have Booker, Ayton, and Bridges. They have a lot of guys. They should be able to win some games. I think Monty Williams will help them a lot. I think whoever they land in the potential top 3, obviously if they get that number 1 pick, they get into the playoff conversation sooner rather than later. Not next year by any means, but sooner rather than later if they land Zion.
Yeah, I think Phoenix is in a much better place than some of these other bottom feeder teams in the NBA. They've got talent. You add another top piece in this draft and maybe get a piece in free agency, Phoenix could be back on the right track rather quickly. I want to ask you guys, though, would you rather, because this has been an idea floated out there, especially surrounding the Knicks, would you rather draft Zion Williamson and build around him or trade for Anthony Davis? I think it's a tough question depending on the franchise. I'm with you, though. If you're the Knicks, get Zion, keep Zion, put butts in the seats. He's a superstar waiting to happen.
Yeah, it definitely depends on the teams in some of these lottery odds, but I think for the most part, with those, at least the top 3 teams, you absolutely take the safe pick, who you know is going to stay for at least 4 years on that rookie contract, in Zion Williamson at the number 1 spot.
Yeah, absolutely. So we want to hear from you guys. Type Z for Zion, A for Anthony Davis. I want to kind of explain how the draft lottery works, okay, Mitchell. Mitch is back there laughing at me right there. Jimmy. So the way this works is if you're outside of the top 4, the only place you can move up is into the top 4. So, for example, you're our Mavericks guy. The Mavericks, if they move up, they can only move up into the top 4, or they'll be at 9 or lower, 9 to 13. So basically, let's say if they were to come in at 11, that means 2 teams below them jumped into that top 4, and which caused the Mavericks to slide back. So that's kind of a genesis of how this process works in the NBA draft lottery. I get it can be confusing. Just wanted to let you guys know that's kind of the process of how that works. All right, let's keep going with the draft lottery odds. You got the Bulls coming in at 4th best odds, 12.5% to get that top pick. Jim Beilein running the ship there as well. They need some playmakers. Got some young talent there in Chicago, though. I think they're an intriguing team.
Yeah, I like Wendell Carter. I like that pickup. Obviously, he wasn't healthy most of his rookie season. Zach LaVine, obviously a dynamic, athletic kind of guy. And then Lauri Markkanen was just incredible once he got back from that injury. I don't know. I think Zion Williamson would obviously add a lot. I think they could also add a point guard like Ja Morant, and he would be huge for that team.
So also got Atlanta coming in at 5th. Of course, they're looking to build around Trae Young with that trade last year with Luka. They get that. They have this pick. They'll also most likely get the Mavs pick as well.
Yeah, Kevin Huerter was a nice pickup for them as well. But obviously, it's all about Trae Young, John Collins. You put Zion next to John Collins, things get really interesting.
Yeah, if you put Zion next to that roster, that would be interesting.
Next to anybody, really. It gets interesting.
Any of these teams would love to have Zion Williamson. He is the best player in this year's draft. Washington Wizards coming in at 9% odds. Scott Brooks, they're kind of in a weird spot with John Wall coming off injury. Bradley Beal, he's been rumored to trades in the past. They're certainly looking to build with young talent.
Yeah, I think you got to get some wings in there because they have 2 guards, even though John Wall's hurt. Washington's an interesting team to watch in tonight's lottery.
Yeah, they're kind of an NBA purgatory right now, so we'll see where they land in tonight's draft lottery. You got the Pelicans, trio of teams here with 6% odds, Pelicans being one of them. Alvin Gentry there. Obviously, Anthony Davis is all but gone. It's just a matter of what they get in return. You got Drew Holiday there, but they need some young talent too.
Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing else to say about New Orleans. If Anthony Davis is gone, you start with whatever they land in this draft and possibly Holiday.
All right, folks, I want to ask you guys, who is the best number 1 pick of all time in the history of the NBA draft? Obviously, LeBron stands out back in 2003.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar back in the day, Magic Johnson, those guys.
It's interesting. A lot of second picks have been great, right? Like Kevin Durant, obviously, going number 2 behind Greg Oden. But I want to ask you guys, who's the best number 1 pick in NBA history? Comment below in the YouTube comments section. Let's keep this thing rolling. Also at 6%, you got the Memphis Grizzlies. They're in an interesting spot as well because they would actually probably rather lose this pick because they're going to have a high pick next year. Again, if they're outside of the top 8, that pick goes to Boston.
Yeah, I really like what Jaren Jackson Jr. brought to that team. I really underestimated him going into last year's draft. I think they'll probably look to move Mike Conley and start building around a young nucleus in Memphis. Yeah,
so Memphis kind of a team in transition right now. We'll see where they land tonight, and if that pick goes to Dallas or to Boston, similar team as the Dallas Mavericks again. If they get up into the top 4, they keep the pick. Otherwise, Atlanta gets this one.
I mean, what else can you say? Who wouldn't want to see Luka Doncic, Kristaps Porzingis, and Zion Williamson? I know I would. I know that I would. That would. Oh, that'd be one of the most amazing things. You want to put butts in the seats?
How about that trio for the next decade plus? That would be absolutely fantastic. So Dallas hoping to get lucky in the draft, have never moved up in franchise history on draft lottery night. Maybe this is the year they get lucky. Keep rolling here. Minnesota coming in at 3% chance to get the number 1 pick. Currently don't have a head coach. Need a point guard, obviously. have some talent there in Karl Anthony Towns and Wiggins, traded Jimmy Butler during the season, so they're certainly kind of a team in flux as well.
Yeah, they're a team that has the talent with Towns and Wiggins, and they've just never gotten it done. Obviously added Saric and Robert Covington in that Jimmy Butler trade, who are nice role players, but they're going to look to get some young talent in this draft tonight.
Can the Lakers get lucky? I know the NBA would like to see it. It's been a mess of a few months. Of course, they just brought in Frank Vogel, so they've got their head coach. You got LeBron. You got some young pieces. The Lakers would like nothing else for lightning to strike in their favor tonight.
Yeah, but I don't think it will. I don't know if I want it to. LeBron James is great. I love the Los Angeles Lakers, but I don't love the Los Angeles Lakers. Excuse me. I hated the Frank Vogel hire. I like the Vogel hire. I like the hire of Jason Kidd along with him in the coaching staff.
Yeah, so we'll see how that staff plays out. Obviously, the Lakers could be a team. They're going to want to trade for Anthony Davis. Better way to do that, get into that top 4, especially that number 1 pick, to give another asset to send to New Orleans. So again, ask you guys, would you rather have Zion or trade for Anthony Davis? I think in the Lakers' case, it would actually make more sense to trade for Anthony Davis than to bring in Zion. LeBron's here to win now. I think that would be a direction you go there. So I think in this case, trading for Anthony Davis would make a ton of sense.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think they're one of the few teams that I would be okay with Anthony Davis, them trading Zion for Anthony Davis at that number 1 spot.
All right, last 3 teams here. You got Charlotte with 1% chance, of course. They're trying to keep Kemba Walker, who's a free agent this summer. They may need their point guard of the future.
Yeah, Miles Bridges, Malik Monk, really the only nice young pieces in Charlotte right now. Not much to build around there.
Yeah, kind of a tricky roster for general manager Michael Jordan. Also, a couple of other teams here. Miami coming in with 1% odds. Eric Spoelstra. They need some talent as well. They've got some pieces, but, Goran Dragic, free agent, they may need a new guard as well.
Dragic and Whiteside both have those player options. I think they'd almost rather them opt out because that's a lot of money that could come off of Miami's books.
Could be time to reset there in Miami. And again, remember, Sacramento sits in this spot, but Boston will likely get their pick unless it becomes the number 1 pick, then Philadelphia would get it. Of course, Boston, 4 picks potentially in this first round. They've got talent everywhere. They might be a team that trades for Anthony Davis, but they're coming in with the 14th best odds.
Yeah, potentially those 2 picks in the lottery. I think you could get an interesting piece here at 14.
All right, guys, shout out to all you guys out there watching. Over 1,300. Subscribe below, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Shout out your area code. My home area code 325.
972.
Want to hear from you guys. Yeah, Dallas-based kid right here, and Jimmy Crowther. Want to hear below. Shout it out, baby. What city you from, area code, all that good stuff. So keeping things rolling, recapping odds at the number 1 pick. You got the Knicks, the Cavs, the Suns, all 14% chance. Of course, Chicago and Atlanta coming in there as well. Next 5, you've got Wizards at 9%, Pelicans, Grizz, Mavs, all at 6%, Minnesota at 3% as well. And then you got the Lakers, the Hornets, the Heat, and the 76ers. Of course, reminder on that last one, if that Sacramento pick is the number 1 pick, it goes to Philly.
Can you imagine Joel Embiid, Zion Williamson, Ben Simmons, potentially bringing back Butler, Tobias Harris? That would be nuts.
It probably doesn't matter if Ben Simmons can't ever learn to shoot, but hey, trust the process, right? I ask you guys, who do you want to land the number 1 pick? I'm sure you guys have a favorite team out there. Which team do you want to have the right to draft the superstar in Zion Williamson? I want to see it below in the comments. We got a couple ones here coming in. We got the Cavs. We talked about that earlier. Mavericks would be awesome. Look, if the Mavs get Zion next to Luka and Kristaps and some of those role players, that would be exciting. Got Phoenix, Lakers, Bulls. Keep them rolling in. Warriors.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
That can't happen, unfortunately. Or we should say fortunately. But, yeah, that is not going to happen. They are not in the NBA draft lottery. They would have to pull off some kind of crazy trade. Last 10 number 1 overall picks. Let's take a look at that. DeAndre Ayton last year, Markelle Fultz a couple of years ago. He's now in Orlando. That thing is gone.
Woof.
South, Ben Simmons, still can't shoot. Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins. Next 5, Anthony Bennett. That may be worse out of all of these guys. Anthony Davis going to be traded most likely. You got Kyrie, John Wall, Blake Griffin. So typically if you're picking number 1, you're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, you're going to get some talent unless you decide to pick Anthony Bennett. That's
well, that was a historically bad draft. This one has been regarded as not a great draft,
right?
But at least Zion's in it.
Yeah,
right?
There's some. I mean, Ja Morant's going to be nice, RJ Barrett, those guys. But after Zion, it's a pretty steep drop-off.
Some of the busts, too. Greg Oden, man, that thing went south, especially with Kevin Durant having the career he's had. We mentioned Bennett, Kwame Brown. That was an absolute disaster. Markelle Fultz, Andrea Bargnani. We'll see on Fultz, but so far it's not looking pretty.
Yeah, it's not pretty. I mean, he had a triple-double. He was the youngest rookie ever to log a triple-double with Philadelphia. Now with Orlando, we'll see if he can get any kind of playing time whatsoever.
Who is the biggest bust of all time? We want to ask you guys. For me, this one's tough, man. I can't go Greg Oden because he had a ton of injuries.
Okay,
some of that was out of his control. Like, Kwame Brown just stunk. Okay, like Kwame Brown was horrible. It never did anything in the NBA. So at least in Oden's case, look, I get it's bad. Durant went right after him. He's a top 10 player already in NBA history.
And that's my thing.
I'm going Kwame Brown.
I think Kevin Durant at number 2 just solidifies the idea that Greg Oden is the biggest bust in NBA history. I know he had injuries and it was sucks. Now he's in the big 3. Actually, we'll see if he gets any playing time or stays healthy.
Be posting up in Ice Cube's league.
But because Kevin Durant was that second pick, I'm putting Greg Oden as my biggest bust of all time. And I'm not ready. I mean, Markelle Fultz is definitely a bust right now, but I'm very interested to see what he does in Orlando.
Someone said Lonzo Ball, Johnny Flynn. Of course, we were talking about the number 1 overall picks. Michael Jordan, I think he turned out okay.
I don't know about that
Jimmer Fredette, he certainly has not worked out. Jamarcus Russell.
Jamarcus Russell, shout out to Raider Nation.
Yeah, shout out Mitch Renz. He runs our Raider show here at Chat Sports. So keep them rolling in. Over 1,800 on YouTube. Appreciate you guys all tuning in. We're going to be live throughout the NBA Draft Lottery as we sit just, 6-7 minutes away from getting these the revelations in. So keep on coming with the comments. By the way, guys, don't swear. YouTube's going to block it. Keep it clean here. You can be funny. You can make good jokes. But if you keep swearing, it's not going to go well. Say Tom instead.
Tom.
That's an office joke we had. This guy Tom's, okay? Do those sort of things. So
don't cuss,
do not cuss. Do not be inappropriate. YouTube will kick you out, and we don't want you kicked out. We want you guys watching the NBA Draft Lottery here on Chat Sports.
I just saw a comment that someone said Jimmy Crowther is the biggest bust of all time, and I didn't appreciate that comment.
Okay. With that mustache, and we're going to get to the stash throughout the show, that might be fair.
I like my mustache. I'm
that
proud
stash
of it.
means you're the biggest bust of all time. All right, let's take a look at this year's top NBA prospects. I kind of put a list together over the weekend. It's all about Zion in this draft, right? I don't want to say it's a one-player draft, but after him, you feel like there's a significant drop-off. Ja Morant, R.J. Barrett should be top 3 guys as well. Jarrett Culver, DeAndre Hunter, some wings out of Texas Tech and Virginia. 6 through 10, Darius Garland, the guard out of Vanderbilt, only played in 5 games this year, but he has a huge upside. Bol the same way, only played in 9 games at Oregon. Cam Reddish, Kobe White, Sekou Doumbouya. Is that how you pronounce that?
Oh, yeah.
So he's
top
in
international
there
prospect
as well. Yeah, big-time player out of France, untapped potential there. You got Jackson Hayes, the center out of Texas, just another Texas big that was underutilized in college.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just hate to see it. P.J. Washington, Rui Hachimura, Brandon Clark, and Nasir Little. So that's kind of, some of the names to keep an eye on over the next month or so as we get closer to the NBA draft. All eyes, though, on Zion, right?
Absolutely.
This draft is all about Zion Williamson. This might be the most anticipated NBA prospect since LeBron James.
I think absolutely, because another thing is because this draft is so weak after him. Like I said, I love Ja Morant. I think he's going to be great, but the drop-off is so steep. So, yeah, the anticipation is insane. This has to be one of the most anticipated lottery nights because whoever gets that number 1 pick has a franchise-altering player on their team.
I think at worst, you have Shawn Kemp.
Yeah.
Just a freak athlete who's going to throw down crazy dunks. He's going to score 20 points. You plug him into any team, he's going to give you 20 points as a rookie.
Absolutely.
That's his floor. His upside, he could be like a Blake Griffin, but better.
Yeah. I think that's kind of what you're looking
at here.
The ceiling is Hall of Famer.
How about LeBron? We hear that comparison a lot. Will Zion be better than LeBron James? I think it's a little early.
It's a little early.
But
got to get a jumper. Got to make sure he can handle the ball. Got to have that inside-out game to make him a superstar.
I think in terms, though, of global impact, in terms of not just the way he plays, the way you can market this guy, Zion Williamson has that potential. He's going to get $1 billion signing, shoe deal probably.
He's by far the most marketable guy. Honestly, could be the most marketable rookie in a really long time to come into this
Especially
league.
You put him on the Knicks in that market, it is going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, Madhouse and MSG.
You look at what he did at Duke, 22.5 points, 9 rebounds, almost over 2 assists, shot 68% from the floor, was the best player in college basketball. Look at his body.
It's insane.
6'7", 285. We've never seen an athlete that's this skilled enter the NBA.
Do you know there's one player in the NBA right now that's going to be heavier than Zion Williamson when he enters the league? Do you know who that is?
Who's that?
Boban Marjanovic, and he's 7'3", and Zion's 6'7". So if Zion went to the league right now at 285 pounds, he's the second heaviest player in the NBA.
Shout out to everybody watching out there. Combined 3,000 on YouTube and Facebook. So stay with us. We're going to bring you those lottery pick revelations in the next couple of minutes. Some other prospects to look at. Bol. This guy from an athletic standpoint, okay? I'm a little higher on him because I get the foot injury is a problem. And if the medicals don't check out, that is worrisome. 7'2", 235 with a 7'8" wingspan, and he's a good athlete.
Yeah.
He's got Kristaps Porzingis potential with more athleticism.
He has all the unicorn-like potential in the world. There's been some people that speculate that he doesn't like to work hard off the court, on the court in practice. That could be an issue in the NBA. But like you said, his body and his skill set has all the unicorn-like potential in the world.
This is a guy, if he's there with like the 12th pick, you just take him.
Oh,
because
100%.
After Zion, he has the potential to be the best player of this draft.
100%.
All right, guys, we teased it earlier. Got to get to it. What do you think of Jimmy's mustache? If there's any ladies watching with us, I mean, is this acceptable? What are we doing here? What's the genesis of the mustache here? Is this a frat deal going on? What's the deal?
Okay, I threw it up on my Twitter. I threw up a poll. I said, because I was trying to figure out a way to get some luck for the Mavs. I said, what should I do? I was like, you know what? I'm just going to grow a mustache. So I said, how many of you think I need to grow it? 85% said they wanted me to grow it. So the people wanted it, so it's here. It may look like it's drawn on with magic marker, but I promise it is real hair.
Lots of nopes in the chat. Saw a couple oohs earlier. Marry me, Jimmy. So someone out there is about the mustache. I don't think Jimmy's in a state of mind to get married anytime soon, but we want to keep those comments rolling in throughout the night. What do you think of Jimmy's mustache? We may have to get a razor in here soon. This thing is getting out of control. So keep those flying in. Mustache to the Mavs. Okay, there you go.
Thank you, Mark.
Lots of L's.
Anthony Jason says Jimmy is hot. Thank you, my friend.
Bol next Giannis.
Ooh,
I don't think that's a good player comp.
He doesn't have the body.
I don't like that player comp as well. Again, we're just moments away from revealing the draft lottery picks 1 through 14.
Alan loves it. Thank you, Alan. That mustache keeps Jimmy 100 feet away from elementary schools. I have gotten a few emails from the city of Dallas.
Got a lot of people who want Zion. Zion to the Cavs. Zion to the Cavs. Knicks. Bro, Jimmy's stash will be the #1 pick for the night.
I love it.
Can't
I'm keeping it forever. The rest of my life.
Again, these are the #1 pick odds for you guys, 1 through 14. Side note, obviously Sacramento's pick would go to Philadelphia if they were to land the #1 pick. Otherwise, Boston's going to get that selection. Dallas, if they move up into the top 4, that pick goes to Atlanta. So keep your thoughts on that. But, you know, Knicks, Cavs, Suns, Bulls, Hawks, you know, those are probably the teams you're looking at with the best chance to get Zion Williamson.
I think if there was one team in that top 3 that all have the same percentage odds that I would like to see get the #1 pick, it'd be Phoenix. Because I really want to see what they can do with Monty Williams. I love Monty Williams. I think he's going to be great.
He's a great player.
I want to see what they can do with Devin Booker, Ayton, and then Zion. And I really like Mikal Bridges. I'm really high on him.
Yeah, so we'll see how that plays out. Again, we're just moments away from revealing some of these picks. Ask you guys, who gets the #1 overall pick? I don't like to be a conspiracy theory guy, but I have a hard time thinking that it's not going to be a major market team. It's not going to be the Cavs. I think the NBA is going to do the Knicks a solid here. I'm not saying I have a feeling the Knicks are going to get this pick, but in epic Knick fashion, they're not going to draft him. They're going to trade for Anthony Davis. That's my prediction.
That's bold
Knicks
prediction.
Get the pick. They trade it for Anthony Davis. That's what I'm going with.
Here's my prediction. My mustache is so prominent right now that it's going to bring so much luck to the Dallas Mavericks that tonight they're getting that 6% odds and they're getting the #1 pick and finally moving up in the draft lottery for the first time in franchise history.
Oh, we're just minutes away from finding out who gets that #1 overall pick. Sacramento, again, guys, they can't get it. That pick would go to Philadelphia. Not Warriors. Well, you're in good luck there. It's not going to the Warriors. Bulls, Kings, Cavs, Suns. Thunder, sorry, bud. They're not in the draft lottery. They cannot get Zion Williamson. All right, guys, got over 3,000 on YouTube, over 4,000 combined with YouTube and Facebook who are tuned in tonight. Let's get Chat Sports to over 100,000 YouTube subscribers. We're currently at over 95,000, right on the cusp of getting to 96,000. Let's get to 100,000. Let's be ambitious. If everybody in the chat right now subscribed, if you aren't already, that gets us close to 100,000. Let's get there. Let's push as close as we can to 100,000 throughout the night. Keep it coming in. Keep the comments flying in. We love you guys' support. We have all kinds of stuff going on at Chat Sports. We'll have NBA videos all summer. Free agency is going to be huge.
Absolutely.
The draft next month. All kinds of stuff going on here at youtube.com/chatsportstv.
You know what I heard? I heard that if you subscribe to Chat Sports, your favorite team's going to win the lottery. That's sources.
People are talking.
People are talking.
So the Knicks, again, best odds, or tied for the best odds with a couple of other teams at 14%. I will say this, though. While the Knicks need something good, do they really deserve something good with Doley running that franchise?
I don't think so, personally. But I don't know. I honestly like Dennis Smith Jr. I know I made some gestures earlier when we mentioned his name, but I like Dennis Smith Jr. and his vertical plus Zion Williamson's vertical. That'd be fun to watch. I'll say it.
Maybe the two best athletes at their respective positions if Zion goes to New York. Again, we're waiting for the reveal of the picks 1 through 14. Of course, it'll go 14-1, just waiting for the NBA to release those for you guys. So stick with us. It'll be here in the next few minutes. Again, lottery odds, Knicks, Cavs, Phoenix, all with 14% chance. And for those of you just now tuning in, the way this works is if you are outside of the top 4, you can only move up into the top 4.
Right.
So let me clear that up. The Mavs, for example, they have the 9th best odds. They can't get the 7th pick, for example. They can jump up into the top 4, or they can stay at 9 or slide back if someone were to jump into the top 4 from behind them. So that's kind of what you're looking at here. Of course, the NBA made the change on the percentages before this season to try and get rid of tanking of some sort. So now
worked.
Now the top, sort of, not as much as they would like. Now you've got 3 teams with an equal chance to get that number 1 pick and to get Zion Williamson, perhaps. So that's kind of how this thing works out.
And then also to remind you some of these pick protections. Memphis, 1 through 8, they get to keep their pick. If it falls below 8, it goes to the Boston Celtics. The Dallas Mavericks, as part of the Luka Doncic-Trae Young trade, must land in the top 5, and again, they can only be top 4 to keep their pick. Otherwise, that pick goes to Atlanta. And then Sacramento's pick goes to Boston if it lands 2 through 14, but if it lands at number 1, it goes to Philadelphia. So Sacramento cannot keep that pick no matter what.
Shout out Tom Downey. Someone said Daniel Jones number 1 overall, so we're getting Daniel Jones and Jamarcus. Kyler Murray is a sleeper.
Kyler Murray.
Hey, he's been drafted in baseball and in football. Why not the NBA? Cavs get Zion to Sacramento. It can't happen, guys. I'm sorry, unless something crazy happens with the trade. Lonzo the GOAT. Okay.
I disagree.
I'm not a big Lonzo guy.
I'm not a big Lonzo guy either.
Okay. Leaked footage, Oklahoma City gets the number 1 pick. Suns, how did the Lakers pick go? Lakers have 11th best odds. It's simple. They'll be 11 through 14, or they'll be top 4. That's what we're looking at here. Here's some of those pick protections. So if the Cavs, odds to keep is 1 through 10 there. Hawks get, if outside of the top 10, part of the Kyle Korver trade.
Which cannot happen. That cannot happen. Cleveland is going to keep that pick no matter what tonight.
Yeah, so you got that going on. Grizzlies first round pick. They are 1 through 8. Odds to keep it 57%. Again, this is top 8 protected.
Right.
If they fall 9 or lower, Boston will get this pick. So it's kind of right on the cusp because they're 8th best odds. So again, Memphis wants to lose this pick because this is not a great draft outside the top 3 players or so.
But Memphis wants to lose this pick, but I don't think Boston wants this pick either. They already have 4 first-round picks. They're going to be tied up in cap space with 4 first-rounders that they're going to have to
Again,
pick.
we're going through some of the protected picks here. Mavericks get to keep their pick if it's 1 through 5. They can't actually get the 5th pick, so it would be really 1 through 4 there. The Hawks get this pick if it's outside the top 5. So basically, if the Mavs don't make that jump into the top 4, Atlanta gets that pick. Of course, part of the Luka Doncic trade a year ago. I know you're hoping, man.
For Atlanta, if that's 2 top 10 picks, you can kind of take a risk with that 2nd pick. I think that's where your Bol could go.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a great risk for them there with the 2nd pick, but could be really good for Atlanta. If Dallas lands 1, we know what they're doing. If they land 2, 3, or 4, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to trade that pick.
And again, the Kings with that 14th best odds to get the number 1 pick. Here's how this breaks down. Sacramento's not picking no matter what, okay? Boston gets this pick if it's 2 through 14, but if lightning strikes like we've never seen before and it becomes the number 1 overall pick, Philadelphia would get that pick. So expect Boston to pick here, but just wanted to clear that up for you guys as well.
It's not much longer. These picks are about to start rolling in here pretty soon.
Over 4,000 on YouTube dialed in. We appreciate you guys. Keep the comments rolling in. Keep making fun of Jimmy's mustache. Got over 1,000 on Facebook as well. We got Zion to the New York Giants. I think he play a little tight end.
Hey, I didn't appreciate you saying making fun of Jimmy's mustache. There's a lot of people showing me love in the comment section right now.
If you like his mustache, feel free to comment that as well. I just, mustache to the Knicks. There you go. But do you want to go to the Knicks?
I don't want to go to the Knicks. I'm staying right here in Dallas. I'm not going anywhere.
That's not what we want there. Go Suns. We're getting Zion. I'd like to see it. I think it'd be interesting. You put him with that young core. You got Look, I think the Monty Williams hire is great for them.
I do too.
He connects with players well. He's been more successful as an assistant in this league, but I think that's a good fit for him because there's a lot of young talent, some guys he can control a little bit.
Low expectations too. I mean, even though they have the talent, I don't think anyone expects them to try to make a playoff push or anything
I think if they got Zion, they could win. Because, 19 games they won this last year? I think you could push for 30 wins.
I think so, especially with Monty Williams.
The talent is there to be more competitive than they have been. Again, we're just waiting for the NBA to release the draft lottery picks, of course. Knicks, Cavs, Suns, they're all praying for Zion Williamson, as are the rest of the teams there on the list.
Tonight we'll be announcing them 14 all the way up to 1. So be watching. If there's a team that is not called that should be where they are, that means they jumped into the top 4. That's going to be big.
Let's have some fun with lottery representatives. And for you guys who don't know, every team in the draft lottery sends a representative to the draft lottery. You got Patrick Ewing going for the Knicks. Nick Gilbert, the son of the hated Dan Gilbert.
He has his own seat now.
Going for the
He's been there so many times, Nick Gilbert has.
You see players go as well. DeAndre Ayton representing the Suns. Horace Grant for the Bulls. Jamie Gertz for Atlanta. You also got Paul Fernandez for the Wizards. Alvin Gentry, they're keeping it simple.
Yeah,
also,
sure.
Why not send Anthony Davis to the Pelicans?
Things really interesting.
Got Elliot Perry going for the Grizzlies. Cynthia Marshall, of course, for you guys who don't know, the Mavericks brought her in to run the business side of things when that disastrous story broke about a year and a half ago. She's repping the Mavs this year. Then you got Jerson Rosas representing the Minnesota Timberwolves. How about Kuzma? How about he represents the Lakers and then they just trade him?
I don't love the Lakers, but I like Kyle Kuzma. I'll say it. I like Kyle.
I do too, but they're just going to trade him anyway in the Davis trade. Yikes. So kind of a last hurrah for Kyle Kuzma for the Lakers. You got James Borrego going for the Hornets, Alonzo Mourning for the Heat, Chris Heck for the Celtics, Rich Gotham for the 76ers. They're hoping to get extremely lucky and get that number 1.
If there was a name that should win the lottery tonight, Rich Gotham. That's an incredible name.
Shout out Gotham City.
Shout out Rich Gotham.
I want to ask you guys, this draft is all about Zion. That's what we've been talking about. It's what we spent a good chunk of this show on. Who is the best prospect not named Zion Williamson? It's between two guys for me, Ja Morant or R.J. Barrett. I think those are the two. I think it's Ja Morant.
I'm pretty dead set on Ja Morant is the second best talent in this draft. I think there could be teams at 2 that take R.J. Barrett over Ja Morant, and it would make sense for them. But talent-wise, I'm saying Ja Morant's the better.
Call me crazy. The upside of Bol Bol, I think, could be the second best player of this draft.
He's
such a freak athletically.
Oh, man. Okay, these picks are about to start rolling in. Yeah. Number 14 is going to be announced just here in a few seconds, so stay with us. Number 14 is the Boston Celtics, so no change there.
Yeah, so that was expected. Boston with the 14th pick there, so Sacramento giving that pick to Boston. Sorry, Philadelphia. You guys do not get the top pick in this year's draft. So the Celtics, that's one of potentially 4 first-round picks they could get in the draft this year.
Number 13, the Miami Heat, so we're staying right where everyone is slated as we talk.
Yeah, all chalk so far. You got the Celtics and the Heat. If it's chalk again, we'll have Charlotte.
Hornets are number 12.
It is Charlotte coming in there at number 12. All chalk so far.
Number 11. That means the Los Angeles Lakers have jumped up. So number 11 goes to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Things are getting interesting.
NBA conspiracy.
Really interesting.
Conspiracy theory guy.
Wow, Twitter's about to start absolutely blowing up.
The Lakers, for those of you who don't know, that means the Lakers have
number 10, the Atlanta Hawks.
Have a top 4 pick in the NBA draft.
Number 10, the Atlanta Hawks. Wow.
I can't get over the Lakers.
Things are getting really interesting.
Wow. The Lakers are going to have a top 4 pick. Of course, the Hawks just coming in
With the 9th pick in the draft, the Washington Wizards, which means
the Mavericks
Dallas
are also
Mavericks
in the top
have
4.
jumped in to the top 4. This is nuts, ladies and gentlemen. This means the Mavericks have moved up for the first time.
You know what this means? The NBA has succeeded in anti-taking.
Wow. Okay,
That's
number
what it
8.
means. You got the Wizards coming in at number 8.
9.
No, they were number 9.
The Hawks are
Still
number
waiting
8.
on number 8.
The Atlanta Hawks have been slated at number 8. So we're about to get number 7 here.
Both the Lakers and the Mavs jumping up into the top 4.
With the 7th overall pick, the Chicago Bulls will be selecting number 7. That is a huge hit.
Yeah,
They were
projected
hit
4th. That
for the
means
Bulls.
someone else jumped up as well because they were 4th. And we know the Mavs have jumped. We know the Lakers have jumped. So that means someone else has jumped. Got Phoenix coming in with the 6th best odds. They dropped from 3 to 6.
Oh my gosh. This might be the craziest lottery I've ever seen. Now, mind you, the lottery odds did change before this season. So things are getting pretty wild as projected here.
Cavaliers coming in at number 5. This is crazy. I can't get over it. They dropped from 2 to 5.
This is really hard live on air not to be crazy.
I think that means the Pelicans have jumped into the top 4 as well. So the Pelicans, Mavericks, and Lakers all going to get top 4 selections, potentially with the chance to get Zion Williamson, and the other team being the Knicks. That's your 4. Knicks, Mavs, Lakers, Pelicans. You're our Mavs guy.
Wait, okay. This is getting really, really interesting.
You're our Mavs guy. The Mavericks have never, in the history of their franchise, they've been in the draft lottery 15 times prior to this year. They've either stayed the same or moved down. They're moving up for the first time ever. Your reaction?
Well, right now, what I'm seeing, because we see Atlanta has 2 picks. So that means Dallas didn't move up. That means Atlanta got one of Dallas's picks, and they drew Atlanta.
You know what? That could be the case.
We got
the
really
Pelicans, the Knicks, and
the Lakers.
So the Lakers, this is the story, guys. The Lakers jumped from 11 to the top 4. 11 to the top 4 for the Lakers. And, of course, they've got LeBron. They just hired Frank Vogel and Jason Kidd. Frank Vogel, of course, being their head coach. This could be a scenario. We talked about this earlier. Lakers could package this for Anthony Davis.
Absolutely.
You do that and you sign someone in free agency, whether it's Kyrie Irving or someone else, all of a sudden you're back in the mix of things in the Western Conference.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, that is absolutely crazy. So Atlanta's pick, Atlanta has those 2 picks. One of them is Dallas's pick.
Yeah, so what it ended up being is the Mavs, the Hawks fell from 5 to 8.
Right.
And the Mavs fell from 9 to 10. And the Hawks got that selection.
Wow.
That is what happened.
That hurts for the Hawks.
Sorry for the confusion. Got a lot of rigs in the chat. Say rigged for the Lakers.
You called it.
Hey,
you called
conspiracy
the
theory
NBA
guy.
Conspiracy Twitters.
We'll ask you guys: is the draft lottery rigged?
Ooh,
I mean, I'll say this. Look,
interesting.
I don't like to be sport conspiracy theory guy, although there are a couple I kind of believe in. Shout out
fair.
Mavs 2006 NBA Finals.
Yep, absolutely.
But we've never seen an actual video of the NBA draft lottery.
Never.
They've never shown us it.
No.
So until they do, there's always going to be that glimmer of doubt that the draft, people are always going to think the draft lottery is rigged. Everybody's saying rigged.
If the Lakers get this number 1
chat.
pick, that would be absolutely nuts, and absolutely people would be calling for a rigged system. Oh my goodness.
Guys, remember, we're waiting for that top 4 to be revealed. Just to look back at it, 5 through 14, Cavs slid down, Suns slid down, Chicago slid down, Atlanta moved down to 8. They also got the 10th pick. Wizards slid down. A lot of teams slid down because the Lakers and the Pelicans all moved up, and Memphis moved up.
The Lakers had a 9.4% chance to land in the top 4, and they did it.
That's unbelievable.
And they have a 2% chance at number 1. Like we said, we're waiting on these top 4 picks to be revealed, and we'll get them to you as they happen. But right now, we have 5 through 14, and it's pretty nuts what's going on.
Should note, too, so the Grizzlies keep their pick because they're going to be in the top 4. Boston does not get that pick, so they will have 3 first-round selections this year. But, man, this is crazy.
Which of those 4 would you like to see get the number 1 pick?
At this point, do you just go all in on the Lakers? Like, just send Zion to the Lakers, or they can trade it for Anthony Davis.
Man.
Because, okay, you can't put Zion in New Orleans or Memphis.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
But New Orleans deserves it, if we're being honest. New Orleans fans, after all the crap they had to go through with Anthony Davis, I think they deserve it.
Well, what's interesting, what if they land it? Because that was a big part of a potential trade is let's trade Anthony Davis for the number 1 pick, right? But they might just get the number 1 pick.
Wow.
Then you really got stuff
really
to work. Then you can really be picky and choosy on who you trade Davis to.
Wow.
We got, by the way, guys, y'all are showing out really well. Almost 6,000 on YouTube, combined over 7,500 on Facebook and YouTube. Let's get YouTube to 100,000 subscribers. Guys, we're over 96,000. We were at below 96 before we started. We've added over 100 subscribers. Keep on subscribing down below. YouTube.com/chatsportstv. We do all kinds of NBA, NFL, college sport coverage. That's where you can find all of that stuff. Again, Lakers, Grizzlies, Knicks, Pelicans. These are the 4 teams waiting to see if they are going to get the number 1 pick. If the Lakers jump to the number 1 pick, they had 2% chance. 2. That's okay for a ping pong argument. That means they had 2 ping pong balls out of 100.
Wow.
And they potentially got the number 1 pick. We're still waiting, of course, to see 4 through 1. This is nuts. This is absolutely nuts. I'm sorry about your Mavs, but there's still lots going on.
We really thought
here.
they had it. We really thought, like, when they pulled Atlanta, I really thought.
Look, the NBA confused us. We're sorry about that.
All right,
4th pick,
the number
Lakers.
4th pick here.
They didn't get as lucky as we thought. They still got extremely lucky. They get the 4th pick, which is kind of
they tried to trade that. I think absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's still a big trade chip for Anthony Davis. So I think that's what you go there. Knicks.
Wow. Number 3, the New York Knicks fall all the way to 3.
Knicks fall to 3. So that means the
really,
Grizzlies
really
or the Pelicans are going to get
Zion. I'm telling you, the
Pelicans
deserve it. Pelicans fans deserve it after all the crap they had to go through with Anthony Davis. Wow. Things are getting
unbelievable.
Really interesting.
Still waiting official word on the
number
top 2 picks.
The Memphis Grizzlies, which means
Pelicans get it.
The number 1 pick is the New Orleans Pelicans.
This is interesting.
Wow, things got really interesting
on a lot of
fast.
angles. What we just said. Now you're extremely patient if you're the Pelicans on where you trade Anthony Davis because you've got Zion.
Right.
You already have him. You just got him. Okay, so you have that going. 2. You just sit and wait. You say, okay, Boston, what are you offering us? Lakers, what are you offering us? Blank team, what are you offering us? Hey, also, how about this? Go to Anthony Davis. We just got Zion. You want to reconsider? You want to come back?
Dude, this
changes everything for the Pelicans franchise.
If the Lakers really want to trade for Anthony Davis, Anthony Davis, then the Pelicans could potentially have the number 1 pick and the number 4 pick. Things would get really interesting there.
That is incredible.
Wow.
Hey, I'll ask you guys, should the Pelicans try and keep Anthony Davis now? It's in his court. He's made it well known. He wants to be traded. He wants to go out west. But I think that's at least a conversation that has to take place.
Oh, 100%. Look, they changed up some front office stuff.
David Griffin came in and said, hey, I'm not conceding that we're trading Anthony Davis. We're going to talk. We're going to see how this thing plays out. So type Y for yes, type N for no if you think they should keep Anthony Davis. I think, obviously, you try to make this happen if you're the Pelicans. Obviously, if that bridge is burned, then you wait for the best trade package, but that's where we're sitting right now. The Pelicans struck gold here.
Yeah,
They moved up from tied for, at 6%. They were the 4, 5, 6, 7th best odds, tied for 7th at 6%, and they make that jump all the way to the number 1 pick to get the right to draft Zion Williamson. That's got to be the biggest jump in a long time, if not ever. I don't have that list in front of me, but that's as big of a jump as we've ever seen in the draft lottery. Didn't have a first-round pick last year. Well, I think they made up for it this year.
I think so, too. Wow, this is really something. Things really changed really fast. The Pelicans, think about it. If they keep Zion and you run out a big three of Drew Holiday, Zion, and Anthony Davis, if he wants to stay, things could be interesting in New Orleans.
The NBA's plan worked. That's my takeaway from tonight. They wanted to try to get rid of tanking, make the percentages lower and closer together, and make it, they want to promote winning. They don't want teams to actively lose. So, guys, I know you guys think this is rigged. Is this rigged to make up for the Saints' non-pass interference call? Hey, honestly, I want to ask you guys, New Orleans fans, New Orleans sports fans, does this make up for it? I think it kind of does. Look, the Saints are going to come back and have a good shot this year.
I mean,
getting Zion for potentially the next 15 years?
Zion Williamson is a franchise-altering piece. So was Anthony Davis, of course, but Anthony Davis is probably long gone.
There's all kinds of conspiracies flying around out there tonight, both surrounding the Pelicans and the Lakers. Lots of stuff going on. Again, this is the breakdown of picks 1 through 14. Pelicans, they strike. They get the number 1 pick. Grizzlies move up to number 2. Knicks fall to number 3. Well, I'm not sorry for James Dooley. I don't hate to see it. I actually love to see this one. The Lakers, they get lucky. They jump up from 11 to 4. Cavs, Phoenix, Chicago, 5 through 7 there. Tough break for John Beilein as he joins his new team. They fall from 2 to 5. Phoenix drops from 3 to 6. I don't feel too bad for them, though. They've been tanking forever. Figure it out.
Yeah, they have the talent. I don't even know what they're going to add here. It's going to be really interesting with this top 14.
Could be a trade piece there, potentially. Hawks have a couple of picks at 8 and 10, so the Mavericks will not be picking in the first round. Wizards at number 9. Minnesota, Charlotte, Miami, Boston closing things out. Mostly chalk there at the back end of the draft lottery. But again, all eyes on the Pelicans, all eyes on Zion Williamson as they get the number 1 pick. Also, Memphis making that big leap. A lot of people thought they were going to lose this pick to Boston. They go up from number 8, from the 8th best odds to the number 2 pick. Ja Morant, RJ Barrett. Updated mock draft in a few moments. Jimmy's working on it right now. We're going to go through the mock.
Rapid reaction mock draft.
We're on the fly here, guys. We're reacting just like you guys are. Keep the comments rolling. Still over 5,000 live on YouTube. We've got a lot of people on Facebook as well. Keep the comments flying in. Get your thoughts on Jimmy's mustache. All of that good stuff. So yeah,
didn't bring us good luck tonight.
Grizzlies, yeah, sorry, Mavs. He's going to have to shave it tomorrow. Memphis moves up from 8 to 2. Ja Morant, I think, would be an interesting piece with Mike Conley. Probably not their long-term future there at point guard. So I think that could be a direction.
I think they try to trade Mike Conley this summer, even if they aren't targeting.
Contract is so tough to trade.
It's tough trade.
Over $33 million for the next couple of years. Who's going to win the title next year? Does tonight change anything? Who's going to win the title in 2020? Lots of stuff going to happen in free agency, which we will have updated all summer long on Chat Sports at youtube.com/chatsportstv. We'll be with you throughout the NBA draft, throughout NBA free agency. Where's KD going to go? Lots of rumors that he's going to the Knicks no matter what. So who's going to win it next year? I think it's wide open. If KD leaves the Knicks or goes to the Knicks, I think it's wide open. So we want to hear from you guys in the comment section. Seeing NOLA taking Ja Morant. Don't think so.
No,
they're going to take Zion.
Not. They're not taking.
They're going to take
Get out of here.
Zion Williamson. Bucks winning it all next year. Why not this year? I think they got a good shot this year. Raptors next year. I think this year's their best shot. Who knows what's going to happen with Kawhi? Got a lot of Bucks. Warriors, Lakers, or Bucks? What do you guys think? Grizz. Look, tonight was a win for them. I still think they're quite a ways away from contending. This is an interesting question. Will the Lakers trade the number 4 pick for Anthony Davis? Look, we've covered that a couple of times. I think they're going to try.
They're going to try
because I don't think any player you can get at number 4 is going to have an instant, huge impact with LeBron and what they're trying to do this year.
I'd agree with you there.
I think the Lakers were the one team that, if they got that number 1 pick, they were going to try and trade it for Anthony Davis. I still think they're going to try and do that with the number 4 pick now.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. I think the Lakers have a lot of interesting options with that number 4 pick. There's going to be a lot of interesting things that go on this summer now with the draft lottery in the position that it is.
As great of a night as it was for the Lakers, Pelicans, and Grizzlies, not a great night for the New York Knicks. Let's be honest. All the storylines is, they're going to get the number 1 pick. They're going to get Zion. That means they'll have the choice to trade for Anthony Davis. Well, they end up getting the number 3 pick. That is major disappointment if you're a New York Knicks
at least
fan.
They can't screw up the number 1 pick now.
Patrick Ewing did not provide. Yeah, exactly. They're not going to draft. Did they draft Bargnani a few years back, or is that Toronto?
No, that was Toronto.
They traded.
Eventually traded or
Even
signed
worse.
him, something like that.
Even worse. They, of course, will have a 2nd-round pick as well. But major disappointment if you're the Knicks. You can still, maybe Ja Morant's there, maybe RJ Barrett is there, Jarrett Culver, but this is not the outcome you were looking for if you're the New York Knicks. You wanted that top pick, whether it was to keep him or to trade him. Lakers, of course, big night for them. They jumped from 11 to 4. I think likely that's a trade asset, trying to get Anthony Davis. I think that's kind of the direction you go there. Coming in at number 5, it was the Cleveland Cavaliers. Suns were 6, Cavs were 5. Disappointing night for the Cavs. John Beilein getting that head coaching gig. Of course, he got Colin Sexton you got some other pieces there. Kevin Love still in the mix, but this is certainly a disappointing night for Cleveland.
Absolutely. I mean, a disappointing night for a lot of teams, but a really, really fun night for the New Orleans Pelicans. I mean, if there was a team and a fan base you would cheer for to get a number one pick, I think it'd be New Orleans after seeing what they had to go through with Anthony Davis.
Absolutely. Look, this is the story of the night. The Pelicans are going to get Zion Williamson. That's the story. They make the big jump all the way to number one. They got Drew Holiday. They still got some pieces. They're probably going to have to trade Anthony Davis, although I think they should try and salvage that relationship. But for them to get Zion, obviously they'll embrace him. Hopefully he goes in there and is fired up to go to New Orleans. I'll say this, it's better than going to Memphis.
Yeah.
New Orleans, if it's going to be a small market, I would rather him go to the Pelicans instead of the Grizzlies. Obviously, I think they're going to try and keep Anthony Davis. Want to see what you guys think. So they try and salvage that relationship. I think a conversation should take place.
You know what else is interesting that people haven't talked about yet, or we haven't talked about yet? Julius Randle has a player option this summer. He's probably going to decline that. Becomes a restricted free agent. Well, basically, he's a poor man version of Zion Williamson. I don't think they try to bring him back. I mean, he could play really small ball with him and Zion.
Is it $20 million, that player option?
I think it might be less than that.
Okay.
But
somewhere in
it's going to be
range.
Interesting to see what happens with Julius Randle's free agency. Obviously, that's not the story here, but it's a side story that comes along with
That's a similar player comp, though. Big body, he can handle. I think, obviously, Zion's upside is much bigger than Julius Randle's, but both left-handed. It's obviously player comp there. But again, type Y for yes, type N for no if you think the Pelicans should try and keep Anthony Davis. If you're just joining us, 1 through 14, this is how it fell out. It got crazy, guys. We got a little bit flustered. We thought
we were all over the
NBA tricked us. We thought the Mavs got lucky. They did not. Atlanta gets their pick at number 10. Pelicans 1, Grizzlies 2, Knicks 3, Lakers 4, Cavs sliding down to 5. Phoenix making that slide as well. They dropped all the way down to 6 after having tied for the best odds at 14%.
Yeah, wow.
It's just, this is a tricky draft outside. You get outside the top 3, outside the top 5. It's, pick your poison. Draft a guy who could be, an impact earlier, maybe a home run type of pick.
We could really see a lot of lottery teams, I think, now try to trade their pick a lot more than normal, I think, just because outside of, like you said, maybe the top 3 with RJ, Ja, and Zion, it's kind of a big question mark with some of these guys.
Yeah, we'll see what Phoenix ends up doing there. Bulls coming in at number 7. They make that big slide as well from 4 to 7. Disappointing for them because I think they've got some interesting pieces. They were certainly hoping to move up or at least stay at 4. The drop to 7, that's a little disappointing.
I think they really wanted number 2 so they could just safely take Ja Morant. I mean, obviously they wanted number 1, but number 2 would have been great for them at Ja Morant. He replaces Chris Dunn as their starting point guard along with Markkanen, Levine. I really like Wendell Carter Jr. even though he was hurt.
I think you're hoping maybe one of those wings slides a little bit. DeAndre Hunter, Jarrett Culver.
Yep.
I think that'd be a great pick at number 7, but certainly not where they wanted to be considering they were with the 4th best odds. Hawks, they got a couple of picks. Number 8 is where they slid to from number 5. They get the Mavs pick there as well, part of that Luka Doncic trade a year ago. Looking to build around Trae Young. Maybe you package these 2 picks, move up into the top 5. But if you're Atlanta, I don't think you have enough, players you're certain about moving forward. I think you take 2 players.
Yeah, I mean, kind of disappointing night for them, too. They had the chance to get the number 5 and the number 9 pick. Instead, they get the number 8 and the number 10 pick.
Yeah.
Again, drop-offs all over the draft board, but the difference between 5 and 9 and 8 and 10 is pretty big for the Atlanta Hawks here.
Again, we'll get to our NBA draft lottery mock draft here in just a few minutes as we piece this together on the fly. Washington Wizards coming in. They fall down to number 9 from number 6. Disappointing night for them as well. This is a franchise in flux. The future for both John Wall and Bradley Beal is not clear.
Yeah, I don't really know. With John Wall facing that injury that could keep him out for a long time, that's a big question mark. I really like Bradley Beal. I think he's a great player, but I think a lot of teams are going to be calling about Bradley Beal's availability this summer.
Yeah, so disappointing night a little bit for the Wizards. Minnesota Timberwolves, they come in with the 11th pick. Of course, 10th and 8th were to Atlanta. That's why we're jumping from 9 to 11 there. They're kind of in a similar spot. They got a little more talent than the Wizards. They've got those name talents. You got Wiggins, you got Towns. You got, you traded for Saric and a couple of other guys in Philadelphia. You got some interesting pieces, but they were certainly hoping to get lucky and move up. Not the case for them today.
Right. They're also searching for a head coach. Their head coach search is underway. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah, so Hornets also falling, or no, this was all chalk at this point. They get the 12th pick. this is just such a weird draft. I mean, you get outside the top 7, top 8, it's kind of, this guy could bust. Maybe he's a good player.
That's going to be someone you build around.
No, especially year one. These are not impact players year one, most likely. The Miami Heat, they got the 13th pick, of course, and then the Celtics getting that 14th pick via Sacramento. That was expected. We did not expect any movement there. Celtics will have 3 first-round picks this year. Grizzlies kept their pick, so they will get Memphis' pick next year, I believe. I'm not sure if that's still protected moving forward.
I'm not sure either, but that's a win-win for Boston and Memphis. Memphis gets the second pick. Boston doesn't have to take their pick on.
Yeah. So we're going to get to the lottery mock draft. Jimmy's put his notes together. Again, this will just be 1 through 14. We're not going all the way 1 through 30 yet. We're not that prepared here, but we're going to do a lottery mock draft here. Mustache Man is ready to go. Obviously, look, this night is all about the Pelicans.
All about the Pelicans.
What are the Pelicans doing at number 1?
Is that even a question? They don't look to trade it. They take Zion Williamson. Absolutely. 100% they take Zion Williamson. And that's all. And then you try to convince Anthony Davis to come back and you try to build around them. There's really no question marks there.
Yeah, so Zion, number 1, is the team. Again, real quick, is to remind you guys, 1 through 14, Pelicans, number 1 pick. Jimmy's got him taking Zion Williamson. Grizzlies, Knicks, Lakers, next few picks there. You got Zion. Look, it's going to be Zion.
Absolutely.
100%. The Pelicans, this is as big of a home run in the NBA draft lottery than I can remember.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially, just consider what the Pelicans, like the circumstances. They got to trade their best player most likely. Mm-hmm. They were probably going to trade it to try and get Zion Williamson. Yeah. Well, they just get lucky in the lottery and they get the right to him anyway. So I'm with you. Home run pick, Zion number 1 to the Pelicans.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that front court, if Anthony Davis stays, if they can convince him, that's one of the best front courts in the NBA.
Grizzlies moving up from 8 to 2. Who do you got them taking?
I got them taking Ja Morant. I think, like I said, they try to look to trade Mike Conley. And even if they keep Mike Conley on, I don't think you can pass up on Ja Morant here at number 2. I absolutely love him. He's a good finisher. He's a pretty streaky shooter, but his athleticism is insane. You build around him. I love Jaren Jackson Jr. And then you pursue some free agents. I'm not really sure how much damage they do in the summer.
Yeah, he's got Russell Westbrook type athleticism.
100%.
The question is, does he become a Westbrook type player or Dennis Smith? That's kind of what you're looking at.
Those are the 2 comps. Those really are.
Yeah, with Ja Morant. Got a little bit of John Wall in his game. Freak athletically. The jump shot is a work in progress. So you got Ja Morant going number 2 overall to the Memphis Grizzlies. Knicks, disappointing night for them. They fall to 3. Who do you got them taking?
I got him taking RJ Barrett. I think they'll try to trade up with Memphis. Maybe they'll try to swap that pick. Maybe they try to somehow trade up to number 1, but that's not happening. So I'll leave that out of the question. But RJ Barrett is my pick here for the New York Knicks. They just need to get talent with possibly their big star free agents coming in. I think RJ Barrett is talented enough that you can't pass him up at 3.
RJ Barrett, here's the deal. He's not a just great basketball player in terms of just like, he's not a great shooter. He's not the best ball handler. He's still, kind of an interesting defender, but he makes winning plays.
Yeah.
You put this guy on your roster and he's like your 3rd or 4th best player, in a couple years. That's a good player. He's a team-first guy. He
100%.
had no problem being the Robin to Zion at Duke. He's just a winning player. He's not the best prospect by any means, but if he improves on the jumper a little bit, he does everything else well. High IQ player. I think this is a good pick here for the Knicks. Certainly disappointing that they did not get the number 1 pick. All right, Lakers, they make the big leap. 11 to 4.
Wow.
Who do you got them taking?
I mean, this is what a lot of people wanted. A lot of fans wanted to see was the Lakers get the number 1 pick. A lot of fans also didn't want to see it. But I have them taking Jarrett Culver if they do keep this pick. I think he is absolutely the 4th best player in this draft. He could be potentially the 3rd best behind, in front of RJ Barrett, in my opinion. I think Jarrett Culver is a guy that can make an immediate impact on an NBA team, an NBA playoff team for that matter. And that's why if the Lakers keep this pick, that's who I have them.
If you watch Jarrett Culver down the stretch in the NCAA tournament, don't put too much into that. This is a really good player. He was having to carry the load for a Texas Tech team that started 2 grad transfers, okay? Wow. He's not going to be the primary option on an NBA team, especially right away. I actually think if the Lakers kept this pick, this actually makes sense because they're going to have LeBron. They're probably going to have another big-time free agent. Maybe they trade for AD. That you plug him into a spot where he doesn't have to be a primary option right away. He's a good defender. I think this is a good landing spot for him.
Yeah.
But we want to ask you guys, Who should the Lakers pick at number 4? I'll also throw in, should they trade the pick? What should they do with the number 4 pick? I think the Culver pick is a good selection there.
I think so. I think Culver would absolutely make sense, but I think 100% they call every single team and try to make a solid trade out of that number 4 pick. And I think they can. I think there's some teams that would be really, really intrigued by Jarrett Culver, or if RJ Barrett slides to 4, or for some reason Ja Morant slides to 4, teams are going to be calling about the number 4 pick.
So we want to hear from you guys down below in the YouTube comments section. Cam Reddish is your pick at number 5 going to the Cavs.
Yeah, disappointing night, like you said, for the Cavs. I think a Zion obviously would have accelerated their rebuild over there. But now that you have this number 5 pick, you take Cam Reddish based on his potential. There's no pressure on him to succeed right away. Colin Sexton's there. Kevin Love is there. He's probably going to be a mentor type role if they can't. I mean, I don't know if they're going to try to trade that contract or what. But Cam Reddish and Colin Sexton, they're two nice pieces for the future in Cleveland.
Reddish is an interesting prospect because there's people in NBA circles who think he's the next Paul George. He's also a guy who could be just lost on a roster in 2 years.
I mean, he
could go either way.
Most bust potential in this draft, in my opinion.
Especially in the top 10. Shout out to everybody listening. Over 5,000 still watching us on both, or combined on YouTube and Facebook. Let's get to 100,000 YouTube subscribers. We've added several throughout the night, almost 500. Wow. Let's keep that number rolling. We do all kinds of stuff on Chat Sports, NBA, NFL, all kinds of stuff. YouTube.com/ChatSportsTV. Let's continue with our mock draft here. Jimmy's got Phoenix going guard Darius Garland out of Vanderbilt.
I think this is a win for the Phoenix Suns. If they can get Darius Garland at number 6, he immediately becomes their starting point guard, and you build with Garland, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, who I mentioned that I really like, and then Josh Jackson, who just got arrested, so we'll see if they build it on him. But Darius Garland here is a really, really good pick, in my opinion. Even though he was injured, he has all the potential in the world. Score first point guard, which could hurt them alongside Booker, maybe, but I think he develops really well nicely along Ayton and Booker.
If he was healthy at Vanderbilt, he might have been the top point guard in this class ahead of Ja Morant. He's got the tools. He's not as athletic as a Morant, but he's a better shooter. I think that this would be a great pick. You slide, keep Booker at the 2. I think that's his natural position. Certainly would be a good pick there for Phoenix. Number 7, the Chicago Bulls, DeAndre Hunter. That's your pick here. I think this is a good value pick.
I love DeAndre Hunter. Obviously, he's an older guy in the draft. He'll probably be one of the older guys selected in this top.
3-year college player.
Yes, absolutely. But look, 3-and-D guy. He's going to knock down three-point jumpers, and he's going to just defend probably one of the better players on the other team. Great size, great wingspan. I love DeAndre Hunter. Plus, outside of Zach LaVine, they traded for Otto Porter Jr. Chicago did. But you can slide Hunter in at the 4 in today's NBA, or even Otto Porter Jr. at the 4. They're interchangeable. So you go point guard, probably Chris Dunn at this point, Zach LaVine, Otto Porter, DeAndre Hunter. You put Otto Porter on the bench. You go DeAndre Hunter, Lauri Markkanen, and Wendell Carter Jr. And I like that 5 for Chicago.
Yeah, I think that's a nice starting 5. Look, Hunter, I think you plug him in day one. He's a 3-and-D contributor.
Yes, absolutely.
I think his ceiling is limited somewhat compared to some of these other prospects, but he's one of the more ready-to-play right-away guys in this draft. I think that's the Bulls need players.
Another thing I would say about DeAndre Hunter is that he's a guy that I could see a Los Angeles at number 4 trade back for. Because like you said, I think he's like Jarrett Culver. He's a guy that can contribute to an NBA playoff team right away.
Yeah, I think he's ready to contribute. So that's your pick to the Bulls at number 7. Interesting pick here. You got Jackson Hayes, the center out of Texas, going to Atlanta with the 8th overall pick.
Yeah, Jackson Hayes and John Collins, I think John Collins can play the 4, and Jackson Hayes offers you rim protection. Again, they have 2 picks here, 8 and 10. Yep. So you'll see what I do with the number 10 pick here in a second. You might be kind of surprised. But listen, Trae Young, John Collins, Jackson Hayes, Kevin Huerter was a great pick. You just got to start bringing in talent, and I think that's, at this point, Jackson Hayes probably offers the most talent.
Hayes, great pick-and-roll big man, good finisher around the rim. I think he's Clint Capella with the ability to develop a mid-range shot.
Yes, not a good rebounder. That's his biggest problem.
Not as good of a rebounder, but I think from a stylistic standpoint, very similar, good shot blocker. I think that's the type of player you would be getting with Jackson Hayes. All right, let's get our NBA guy some love on Twitter. Let's get him to 500 Twitter followers. He is at Jimmy Crowther3 on Twitter. Where are you at right now? I know you've got a side account, so let's clear that up.
If you want to follow my Mavs account, if you want some Mavs information, all_things_Mavs, you can see it down below. But my personal account, Jimmy Crowther3, make sure you're following. Funny story, My original personal account got shut down. I was at like 900 followers, so I was really proud of that one. So I had to make this new one. So go get me to 500. And then in the comment section below, I'd like you to describe my mustache in the comment section below.
All right, yeah, you follow him at Jimmy Crowther3. Make fun of his mustache. Do all kinds of stuff. So take time and do that tonight. He does a lot of good stuff for us. So take a couple of seconds. You just hit follow. It's as good as done. So let's get that follower count up for my man Jimmy here. We keep this thing rolling in our mock draft that Jimmy threw together. Wizards at number 9. You're going point guard, Kobe White out of North Carolina.
I am, because John Wall has that injury. I don't know. They could go a lot of ways. Washington could. But I think you bring in Kobe White and you start to develop him next to Bradley Beal. With John Wall sidelined with an injury, Kobe White, I loved him in the tournament. He really grew on me. I barely knew anything about him until I watched the tournament, and then I started following and watching some of his regular season games as well.
And the thing about him you have to account for, North Carolina typically plays a lot of veteran players.
Yeah.
He became a leader and a go-to guy as a freshman.
Yeah, Roy Williams.
Under Roy Williams. That is not insignificant. I think this is a guy that has some good upside. He's already a good shooter. He's so fast in the open court. I think there's a lot of John Wall to his game, except for he's bigger. He's 6'5". So I think this would be a great pick. 6'7" if you count the afro. Best hair in the draft. There's no doubt about that. High risk, high reward coming up next for the Hawks. Bull, you got Atlanta going 2 centers in round 1.
I do, and that's because both of them are such good value picks in my opinion. And like we said, with this 10 to 14 range, you're not going to get guys that are necessarily for sure going to make an immediate impact. But as a value pick, if Bull is healthy during his combine and all that, you have to take him here, even if he is your second center taken, and you run maybe a two-headed monster of Jackson Hayes and Bull. We'll see what happens.
I think anyone taking Bull, it's like Michael Porter. You may not expect him to play year 1, but you're hoping to hit a home run. Because if he can get right, if the foot checks out, this guy's got top 3 talent in this draft. It's just people are very worried about the foot. You start having foot problems when you're 7'2". That's something to be concerned about.
Harrison really loves Bull.
I'm high on Bull.
He is nuts about
I think he's worth the risk in this range. All right, keep things rolling. Timberwolves at number 11. They take Sekou
Doumbouya, the highest rated international prospect in this draft. Not a jump shooter whatsoever. Really long. Great defensive potential, and that's something that Minnesota could use. You get, obviously Towns and Wiggins are there. Doumbouya has this long build to be a great defensive player. He's got to get that jumper up. Again, this is a guy that's not going to make an immediate impact. He could even, I don't think he's going to stay another year over in France, but I like Doumbouya as a prospect, but he has a lot to prove.
You know what you do with this guy? You draft him and you see what happens in 3 years. You develop him. He probably plays a lot of G League in his first year. Maybe he gets some run in the bigs. I think he's Al-Farouq Aminu. I think that's a fair comp for him. If he can develop a shot, maybe he can become more of a Pascal Siakam, but that's the type of player you're looking there with Doumbouya. 12th pick, Charlotte Hornets. You're going guard Romeo Langford out of Indiana. The guard there had an up and down season in his 1 year at college.
Yeah, he doesn't have a great jumper, but he can definitely develop it. He's got a great first step. He's really quick around the rim. I really like Romeo Langford from what I saw. I didn't really know a lot about him, and then I did some research. I like him. Charlotte, again, just needs pieces, especially if Kemba Walker leaves.
Yeah, so he had an up and down year in college, but I think this is, good value pick here. He's a score first guard. I think he can do some different things for you. So 13th pick, where are you going here?
With the Miami Heat, they just lost Dwayne Wade, but I have them taking Brandon Clark. Now, I love Brandon Clark.
Brandon Clark's your bull for me.
He is. He really is. And I think really he could be slated a lot higher. One of the best rim protectors in this class right out of college. Again, another guy that played a lot of years in college. Elite finisher around the rim. Now, we've seen 4s and even 5s develop a three-point jumper. And, I think he needs to develop that. He needs to be able to stretch the floor a little bit. But as a shot blocker and as a finisher around the rim, Brandon Clark is an incredible pick here at 13.
Yeah, older prospect, 22 years old. Very versatile defender. That's really the only knock on him is that he's older, so you're not getting a 19, 20-year-old. You're getting a guy who might be more developed, but we'll see what his ceiling is. Sorry about the last pick, guys. We had the wrong picture for Romeo Langford and the wrong team. Of course, the point guard out of Indiana. We had him going to the Hornets at pick number 12. Another Gonzaga Bulldog going to the Celtics at number 14.
Back-to-back. I really like Rui Hachimura. I know I keep saying I really like all these guys, but I do. And again, another older guy, but 6'8", he's a little undersized for a power forward or center, but he's got the strength and the body to be a good player. And Boston can kind of take a risk here. I mean, I don't even think they're really that interested in this pick. I think they could even look to trade it again, now 3 instead of 4 first-round picks. But Hachimura brings you in some size behind. If Al Horford comes back, he has that player option. He could be a backup power forward absolutely right away.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that can give you 15 to 18 minutes off the bench as a rookie, knock down some threes, grab some rebounds. Not the best athlete for his size, kind of a tweener as a defender. Probably can't guard 5s. Not the best athlete to guard 3s and 4s, but I think you plug him in. He's an impact player on the offensive side of things. So that's our lottery mock draft. Jimmy just went through it for you. Zion going number 1 overall to the Pelicans. I think it's a home run pick.
I mean, it's a no-brainer. I guarantee you, there's going to be some website or some article or some blogger that says why the New Orleans Pelicans should not take Zion at number 1, and
they're just wrong.
Send that to me, and I'm going to call them out on Twitter right away.
They're just wrong. That's a worse take than thinking Jimmy has a good mustache. You had Ja Morant going number 2 to the Grizzlies, potential long-term replacement for Mike Conley.
Yes, again, I think they look to move Mike Conley this offseason. Don't know if they get it done because of that contract. And Ja Morant steps in with Jaren Jackson Jr., and they start building something again in Memphis because they're starting from scratch.
RJ Barrett, the wing out of Duke, going to the Knicks. Disappointing they didn't get the number 1 pick, but they still land a top 3 prospect in this year's draft.
Yeah, I think you have to take Barrett here. He's definitely the third best player in my opinion. The Knicks are obviously upset. They'll do everything they can, I think, to move up to number 2, but we'll see. Now, Harrison plugged me, so I think it's time for me to plug Harrison. Let's get Harrison to 500 followers on Twitter at Harrison1033.
I'm pushing 400, guys. I need some love. I'm trying to be Tom Downey here. Mitchell Renz, they're just crushing us in the Twitter game, so give me a little bit of love there at Harrison1033 on Twitter. Let's make it happen. A couple more picks in the top 5. You had Jarrett Culver, Cam Reddish, a couple of wings going to the Lakers, and Cam Reddish with the 5th pick as well.
Yeah, I love Jarrett Culver. I think if the Lakers keep this pick, he steps in right away off the bench for them and can do some damage. I think Jarrett Culver has the potential to be, when this draft is all said and done and next year when we see it play out, he could be one of the top 3 players that came out this year.
I think he's a good complementary offensive player right now with the upside to be not a top player, but I think he could be a second-type player eventually on a good team. I think Lakers would be a great spot for him because he won't have to do too much right away. Probably bring him off the bench, give you good minutes, can defend. I think that's a good spot.
Again, like you said, he can defend. So if he can develop a jumper, Jimmy Butler is my ceiling.
And his jumper is not as bad as you think.
It's not mechanically. It's not
shot almost 40% from 3 as a freshman. Had to do more as a sophomore. Took some bad shots at times. Won't have to do that right away in the NBA. Then, of course, Reddish to the Cavs at 5.
Yeah, so Cam Reddish here, based on potential alone, there's no real pressure for him to do well and succeed right away next to Colin Sexton, who really had an outstanding freshman rookie season. I loved Colin Sexton in Cleveland, and I think Cam Reddish will complement him nicely. They need some wings alongside him.
All right, let's go 6 through 10 here. You had the injured point guard, Darius Garland, going there at number 6.
He's absolutely their starting point guard right away. It's what they've been searching for, and I think they would be absolutely lucky to land in Phoenix.
All right, DeAndre Hunter at number 7. I think this is a great value pick for Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago. I think DeAndre Hunter steps in right away and can start for them, or he can come off the bench behind Otto Porter Jr., 3-and-D player, older guy. What could be one of the best 3-and-D players to come out of this draft.
Jackson Hayes, just another center coming out of Texas. Expect him to produce right away. You got him going to the Hawks.
Yeah, I've seen Miles Turner, Jared Allen, and then Mo Bamba, who hasn't really proven himself yet, but they're all rim protectors to come out of Texas. Jackson Hayes could be that next guy.
Look, Jackson Hayes doesn't have a mustache, but my man Jimmy Crowther does. Describe Jimmy's mustache in one word. Remember, keep it clean. YouTube's going to kick you off. They're going to ban you if you start cussing, doing crazy stuff down there. So describe his mustache in one word. I'm waiting for it, guys. We still got over 3,500 of you in the comments.
Hey, look, Jackson Hayes might have a foot on me, but he can't grow a mustache like me. I can guarantee you that.
Reese Overstreet says poop. A couple of guys saying sexy, bushy, ugly, meh, suspicious. That's a good one. I think it's very suspicious. I know producer Alicia it kind of caught her off guard.
Alicia doesn't like my mustache.
She's not a big fan of it. She's not liking that. I don't know what Mitchell's thoughts are as he's back there helping us out tonight.
Someone just said that's why
well.
Anthony Davis is out, and I think they're referring to my mustache being the reason Anthony Davis is pushing out. My mustache could be Anthony Davis's unibrow replacement. That's all I'm saying. I think it could make sense.
Guys, I'm seeing your comments getting banned. You got to keep it clean. They're going to kick you out of there. But describe his mustache in one word. Picks 9 and 10. Let's wrap up those. Kobe White, the point guard out of North Carolina, going to the Wizards. John Wall replacement.
Yeah, John Wall replacement. While John Wall is out, he can step in, just start to develop. Yep. John Wall will obviously be their primary point guard when he returns, or if they look to trade him because Kobe White just takes over and does great. I really, really, really like Kobe White. Probably the fastest player in the open court in this draft.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. And then you went center again for the Hawks. Bol, maybe my favorite player just from an intrigue standpoint in this draft.
For sure. And again, this is just a talent pick. I know I had them taking Jackson Hayes earlier, but I don't think you can pass on the, again, unicorn-like potential of Bol.
Guys, he has Kristaps Porzingis potential and while being a better defender.
Yep.
That is his upside if he can stay healthy. It's all medical with him.
And he's got to put in the work. Again, like we talked about, there
attitude issues there potentially.
Yeah, he could be a little bit lazy, and if that's the case, he's not going to make it in this league.
Yeah, absolutely. Picks 11 through 14 as we go through our lottery mock draft. You got Sekou Doumbouya out of France at number 11.
Yeah, he reminds me a little bit of actually Minnesota's first-round pick last year, and it was Josh Okogie, a defensive wing. Again, this is a guy that you just have to take and, like you said, see what happens with him in, 3 years?
There's the right photo for Romeo Langford.
There we go.
The guard out of Indiana. Had kind of an interesting freshman season for Indiana. You got him going 12th overall.
Yeah, if Charlotte loses out on Kemba Walker, they're going to be looking to rebuild, and you just have to take the talent. And Romeo Langford makes sense here. I know they have Malik Monk. They have Miles Bridges. But then if Kemba's gone, Charlotte is starting from scratch, and Michael Jordan's got a lot on his plate, honestly.
Yeah, no doubt about it there. They're a team in flux right now. A couple of zags to finish this thing out. Brandon Clark at 13. Rui Hachimura going to the Celtics at 14.
Brandon Clark is my sleeper in this draft. I mentioned it. Great rim protector, great rim finisher around the rim, Miami Heat could be getting a really good value pick here.
Yeah, then you get Hachimura there going to Boston. We'll see. Again, we talked about that a little bit earlier. They're going to have 3 picks in this first round. They're in win-now mode, so maybe look for them to package this and then a trade in the offseason.
Yes, absolutely. And again, Hachimura, older guy that could step in right away, a little undersized. But I like him. Again, another value pick, 14. You're not going to get anything special.
All right, let's take a look one more time at how the NBA draft lottery fell. Guys, there were some fireworks. Pelicans moved up. They got that number 1 pick.
Whew.
They've got Zion Williamson if they want him. Grizzlies, they make a big jump as well. They go from 8 to 2. Knicks, disappointing night. They fall to number 3 from number 1. Lakers make the big jump as well. They get the 4th overall pick. Cavs and Suns both slide down 3 slots to 5 and to 6 respectively. Chicago falling down to number 7 as well. Tough night for those 3 franchises.
Yeah, big hit for Chicago in my opinion. I think they really, really wanted a point guard to replace Chris Dunn. Again, like I said, they obviously wanted Zion Williamson, but if they could have gotten a number 2 and taken Ja Morant, Chicago fans would have been ecstatic. They also, at 7 right now, I have them missing out on Darius Garland, who I think they would prefer.
Yeah, they need a point guard back. Chris Dunn has not worked out as they would have hoped. Not the best night for the Hawks either. They thought they were going to have the 5th pick and potentially Dallas's pick at 9. They fall from 5 to 8, and Dallas drops from 9 to 10, so they get 8 and 10.
Yeah, I mean, again, they can find some really interesting pieces. That's really nice to have 8 plus 10. You could possibly package 8 and 10 and move up and then pair a nicer piece next to Trae Young, next to John Collins. Atlanta could be exciting, but 8 and 10 is not going to get you anything out that just blows you out of the water.
Not the best depth draft in 2019. Wizards squeezed in between there at number 9. You got the Timberwolves at number 11. The Hornets come in at 12. Miami, Boston, chalk picks 11 through 14. That did not change at all. So those are the draft lottery results. That's how it all went down tonight. Again, Pelicans getting that number 1 overall pick. Before we wrap this thing up, shout out your area code. It's been a great night. We still have over 3,000 of you on YouTube listening or watching us. Still have some guys on Facebook as well. It's been a fun night. It's been a interesting night to say the least.
Night. We were kind of going crazy there for a little bit.
The NBA draft lottery. Look, when those picks are flying in and you don't see the Lakers name pop up at 11, that definitely dragged us out to have an absurd reaction.
I think I blacked out for a second, I'm going to be honest. Because I really thought the Dallas Mavericks kept their pick. Obviously, it went to Atlanta in the end. But when I saw that, I really think I blacked out for a second, Harrison. So thanks for covering for me there.
Look, the highlight of the night is making fun of Jimmy's mustache. Look, shout out Pelicans, shout out to the Lakers getting that big jump, but making fun of Jimmy's mustache was the highlight of the night. So that's been my best highlight. I like what the Pelicans are going to get in Zion Williamson, but guys, look at this thing. Is this acceptable? Is this mustache
Do you think he
acceptable?
should grow one out? I think Harrison should grow one out. I think we should get mustaches around the office. I think Mitchell Renz needs one. I think Dom Downey needs one. I think we all need one. You definitely need one.
Yeah, so keep shouting out, Well,
you said yeah.
I got a little
committed
something.
to it.
I got a little something. We'll see if I can work on that. We're seeing the area codes fly in 925-304. We got Bradley with 252 coming in.
Who do you think was the biggest loser in tonight's draft lottery?
Knicks.
Really?
I mean, I know some other teams fell further, but the Knicks, to not get that number 1 pick is pretty disappointing. Of course, don't forget, we're going to have the NBA Draft live here on Chat Sports, youtube.com/chatsportstv, June 20th. Mark your calendars. We will be all over it. That is going to be a fun night as well, just like it's been a fun night tonight, Jimmy.
It really has. I appreciate it. I don't appreciate you making fun of my mustache, but I appreciate all of you, most of you, showing love to it. It was a heck of a night. We know Zion Williamson is going to the New Orleans Pelicans if they keep that pick, which I think everyone expects them to. And the Los Angeles Lakers jumped up into the top 4. Heck of a night.
Subscribe to youtube.com/chatsportstv. We'll have all kinds of NBA coverage between now and the draft and, of course, free agency. That's Jimmy. I'm Harrison. We're signing off. Thanks for joining us during the NBA Draft Lottery.